sometimes you just have to trick yourself into going into the studio. I know, it seems crazy because you love being in the studio. You love making art or making music or whatever it is. And you'll feel better if you do it. But for whatever reason, you're out of practice. You're not in the rhythm of it. You've been depressed. The weight of the world is on you. You got other things you're supposed to be doing. There's so many reasons why you fall out of the practice of making art or doing your creative work, whatever creative work it is that you do. There's a lot of reasons why we fall out of it. The question is, how do you get back into it? Especially if you happen to have a lot of internal critics saying things like, that your art doesn't matter, your work doesn't matter, or, you never really follow through. The critic, oh my God, it can come up with all sorts of reasons not to go to the studio. And it can be really easy to fall into that trap. But let me tell you something. Doing your artwork, doing your creative work, whatever creative work it is, will feed your soul, will make the rest of your life easier, and potentially will be, you'll come up with something of value. But don't start there. Don't start with having to make something of value. Don't put that pressure on yourself. The trick that I have found over and over and over again, because I got to tell you, I fall out of practice a lot. My life does not stay in a steady rhythm. I go through various different iterations of what life is about. So I discovered a trick, which I think of as doodles, but you can think of it as throwaway art, or you can think of it as just playing around. The trick is you need to not engage that internal critic. You got to set that internal critic aside. And the way to do it is to have something that is not important, right? That they don't have to get involved in whether it's good or not, because it's just going to be throwaway art. Why do throwaway art? To get your juices flowing, to get it so that you can really reconnect. There's one thing to tell yourself that it'll make you feel better, but there's another thing in experiencing it. You experience the way that your whole being begins to open up again once you're making. The ideas start to flow. They will. You've experienced that before, you'll experience it again. When it's stopped up, then you need to trick it in order to open it up just a little bit. So doodles, throwaway art, I don't know what you would call it if you were a musician, or what you would call it if you were a writer. Maybe you guys could tell me what to call it, but as a visual artist, I call it doodles. And I just get some clay in my hands or get some wax in my hands, and I just start messing around, looking at what looks interesting. And I move it around until I find something that looks interesting. And I'm very, very loose about it. Very loose about it. But once I find, something, that I follow it up. What if I did this? What if I did that? And pretty soon I've made a little something that's kind of fun. And it feels good. And you know what? Those dishes don't look so horrible anymore because I feel nourished. So I invite you to give yourself a little candy in terms of a doodle. Like, it's just play. It's just play. Show up and give yourself a little cup of tea. Play. And see what happens. And if you do that for a series of different days, 15, 20 minutes, it doesn't have to be long, I bet you'll find that things open up again. And I would love to hear whether I'm right. So please send me a note. Ideally, make a comment below, and I will talk to you soon. All right. Oh, I got to figure out how to turn this off again.